and welcome to my continuation of Rising Awakened Dragon. Right now we'll be talking about combat, and we're going to start off with two very important stats for that. Those being accuracy and evasion. Accuracy is what actually levels up with your speed stat, whereas evasion is what levels up from your luck stat. Despite what you might think, movement speed does not actually level up with your speed stat. That is locked at however many tokens you have it, unless you have skills that say otherwise. Moving on, every time you attack or try to otherwise affect someone that would require some sort of accuracy check, it is always your accuracy versus their evasion. If they're trying to hit you, it is their accuracy versus your evasion. Each side rolls a 20-sided die and adds their appropriate stat. Say, for instance, you're trying to punch the enemy, and you have 5 accuracy versus their 4 evasion. If your accuracy roll is better than their evasion roll, then you hit, otherwise you miss. And this goes down to, if it ends up a tie, and it's your 5 accuracy versus their 4 evasion, let's say you rolled an 18 while they rolled a 19, it would actually go to you since you have the higher relevant stat. And with that, we'll move on to movement. It's fairly simple. Each 1 token of speed grants 1 square of movement. How much is a square? It kind of doesn't matter. However, there are also movement types, and they are simply the following. That would be walking, which allows anyone to attack them with a melee attack or otherwise, or flying, which actually means you cannot be attacked by a grounded melee attack of any kind. That the flying ones do get the -1 starting token, however. Now we're going to move on to attack versus defense. 1 point of defense completely negates 1 point of attack. So if you have 5 attack versus your enemy's 5 defense, then it will do 0 damage unless you are attacking them with a weapon they are weak to. Every creature type has some sort of weapon that they are weak to, whether it is golems and other things made out of metal or with metal armor being weak to bludgeoning, whether it's birds and dragons that are weak to slashing, or whether it's all kinds of mammals that are weak to piercing, as well as ghosts. Plants, by the way, are also weak to slashing, since a chainsaw is basically just a bunch of slashing damage all at once, over and over again. And with that, we're going to move on to critical hits and critical misses. These happen on when any party rolls a 1 or a 20. Now, if both of them roll a 1 or if both of them roll a 20, then it'll simply go to the higher stat and will be a regular hit, one way or the other. If it is a critical evasion on your side, your character will have the chance to deal a counterattack that actually pierces through their defenses. Whereas if it is a critical hit on your side, you will get to deal a damage-piercing attack power +3. Now, why are the hits a little bit better? Well, because you're not supposed to be attacking during that time when you're evading. That's supposed to be when you're just doing nothing, so that would be why it's a little bit weaker. Probably shouldn't need to say this, but magic defense and magic attack work the exact same way as attack and defense. However, a magic weakness is multiplied before the magic defense is taken into consideration, using mathematical rules and such. And with that, I believe that is all I need to say on the combat section. Coming up next is going to be experience points, leveling, and just sort of any other miscellaneous thing I might have sort of forgotten. So, experience, why is it always 100? You may have noticed in the previous sections that the character sheet just has out of 100 baked into the experience field. Why is that? Well, primarily for simplicity's sake, but also because as you level up, your standards for battle will, of course, get higher. What was once a mini-boss worthy of 10 XP will now become a standard nuke worthy of 4 XP, maybe in a group at some point. and what was once a full-on boss could become a mini-boss, could become a standard mook, and so on and so forth. So that is why it is always 100 regardless of level. This is why you shouldn't be constantly giving out loads and loads of EXP, because it's all a percentage to the next level. If you want to think of it that way, it's actually a really easy way to think of it. Now, when you level up, not all of your stats do go up. However, hit points, magic points, and idea points will always go up by your token value. If you have 3 tokens in HP, you will gain 3 HP per level up. If you have 3 tokens in MP, you will gain 3 MP on level up. If you have 3 idea points, you will gain 3 idea points per level up. That's tokens and idea points, not full-on idea points anyway. Now, beyond this, all of your stats will go up in accordance with your leveling schedule. What is that, you may ask? It is a table that is section levels 1 through 5, and level 1 should start with only 3 slots for it. Other than that, put any skill that you have tokens in that are less than 5, because if you have 5 tokens in a skill, it will always level up, and that will decide what levels up at that given level. Say at level 1 you have attack, defense, and speed. Well, hey, you start off with extra attack, defense, and accuracy. Cool. However, you cannot double up in a stat. Each of these tokens has to be distributed to a different level. That's why on 5 it doesn't matter, you just always level up, because that is what it does. With 4, basically you just choose one that it doesn't level up in and fill the rest with it. 3, 2, and 1 are, well, 3 and 2 are a bit more complicated. With 1 you just choose 1 and that's where it levels up. Other than level 1, there's 6 slots, which is how many stats can level up via the level schedule. So, pretty much fine. And at level 5, you not only get another token to put into your stats, but you get another level 1 thing. Well, why would you do that? Because once you get to level 6, you use what's on your level 1 schedule. Level 7 uses 2, and so on and so forth until you get to another level 5 and get another token and another level 1 slot, until level 1 also has 6 level up slots in its level up schedule. And with that, you kind of customize when and how your character, grows and levels up. If you wanted to start off with 3 levels that go up in magic, and then 3 levels that go up in attack, well, go ahead. I think that's kind of neat, at least. With that, we're going to move on to EXP tiers. What are those? Well, it's quite simple. Tiers that give out different amounts of EXP depending on how the battle went, how it was, what it was like, and occasionally what it was intended to be. So starting from the highest and going to the lowest, we have boss tier. That would be your big bosses, your big main bad guy of the section. That would give you 30 XP, 30% of the way to a level up. Just beyond that, or below that I should say, you have the annoying monsters and mini bosses. Those each give 10 XP. Why am I lumping annoying monsters in there? Because you never know what's going to be annoying, and you darn well better be ready to give extra experience points if it is. Just behind that one is your standard mooks, which give out 4 XP in a group. These are your basic guys that they tend to go down in 1 or 2 hits. Simple things. With that, there's actually one more tier, and it's below that, of course. That's 0 XP for the irrelevant tier. This is kind of meant to deter murder hobo activity. This is meant to be, oh, how much XP can I get to kill this whole village? Well, you're gonna get 0, and you're gonna attract guards that also give 0, but are hard to fight. So just don't do that. Don't let your players do that kind of stuff. That's what the irrelevant EXP tier is for. Continuing on, we have special points and milestones. What are special points? Well, they're kind of like idea points, kind of like magic points, but they're given out in a different way. You don't tend to choose them at level up. You don't get more on level up, and you don't tend to start with any. You can optionally start with one special point, but you ignore the first one that happens. Well, when does it happen then? Each special point, both current and max, is given out at milestones, when something big happens, when someone big is defeated. You know, when the players reach a certain part in the story. And what do you do with these? Well, I'm going to get to it. You get to create a very special skill, a very powerful skill, something that would normally cost too much MP, too much IP, just something your character can do in an emergency to get them out of that emergency, or just to, win better. These skills can also be used for that, obviously. Just to note, how many SP skills you have is tied to your max SP. You do not use SP to create the skill, but you do use SP to use the skill. So if you have 2 SP, then you have 2 SP based skills that are typically going to cost 1 SP to use in any given battle or situation. With that more or less properly explained, yes, you do still have to talk to your GM about that, because your GM has to allow any and all skills. You can't just write on, this skill makes me invincible for infinity turns for 1 SP. But beyond that, we're going to have other checks, role-playing checks, things outside of combat. Now for this is more for the GMs out there. Just sort of get creative. Think about, what would this situation need? What kind of RPG stat would make this situation easier? Is the player for some reason trying to bust down a door? Well, you can either use the full-on strength stat, which is the combined attack, defense, and HP stat, or you can just use attack. Is the player trying to chug some crazy potion and they're trying to resist its effects or something as part of a tavern bet? Well, have them check for HP. It's similar to a D&D con stat. It basically just, it's how durable you are, how hardy you are, so to speak. Now, different thing though is your character trying to be that one guy who can take a cannonball to the stomach? Well, in that case, that would probably require the defense stat over anything else. Is your player trying to get into a race with another character for like winnings or any other reason? Well, check their speed stats and do the usual check. D20, add the stat, in this case the token value, not the full stat. That's something that gets a little interesting later on, because you can have only up to 5 tokens and attack power, but your actual attack power could be anything. It could be something incredible, something stupidly high, something stupidly low. It all just sort of depends, which is why you use the tokens, since that is basically how good on average you are at that thing. So that way you're not, adding hundreds, meaning that the D20 is useless. You'd be adding, if you're going for a full stat, you're adding at maximum 15. If you're going a smaller stat, it is at maximum 5. And this is for basically any character. Anything, any NPC, that is the cap on that, so to speak. Just get creative with the situations, I guess. What kind of stat would work for if they're trying to reprogram a computer? Well, I'd say either a full-on intelligence or just use the magic attack. Is it a more modern setting? Then sure, magic attack could just be akin to technology-based attacks. You can do that easily. Is it a medieval setting? Then you're probably not going to need the computer part of that, huh? Anyways, I'm starting to blab on a little bit, but I believe this will actually do it for this video. Up next, I'm going to have a recording of me and a group of friends actually playing this. Unfortunately, this campaign has actually gone on a long time off camera, so it would be impossible to keep up with, but if you really want to, we could eventually do a different campaign, this time with in full view of the camera, and I suppose I will see you then. Well, actually, I might also do video games. I might find a way to record some of that, probably starting with PC games because they seem to be the easiest. I'll see you guys when I see you. This kind of does it for my explanation. I hope you are ready to play. I really do, because otherwise I didn't really do my job, did I?